Joining us now, Thomas Griffin, candidate for Mississippi's 3rd Congressional District. Good morning, Thomas. Thanks for coming in.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
All right, tell the audience a little bit about your background, if you would, to start off with, and what inspired you to jump in the ring and run for Congress.
Well, my name's Thomas Griffin. I'm running in the 3rd Congressional District in Mississippi. I'm not a lawyer or a politician. I've been running a small business here for about the past decade. And I've really just decided to run mainly when Michael Guest paired up with Benny Thompson to form the January 6th Commission. Mm-hmm. And, since then I've done a little digging into his record. And, he shows up to vote for that. And he's over the last 2 years, he's voted to give Planned Parenthood $1.1 billion. But he hasn't bothered to show up 64 times to even cast a vote. So, Mississippi just needs better representation than somebody who's not even willing to show up for work. Okay.
So those are pretty much the reasons that you decided to jump in the race. Is that accurate to say?
Yes.
Okay.
He just has not done enough for the people of Mississippi.
How would you differentiate yourself with Congressman Guest?
Well, for one, I would not vote to give Planned Parenthood a dime.
So what vote was that exactly?
Well, I'm not exactly. It was 3 different votes, that came up over the last 2 years.
Okay.
But I know it funded them $1.1 billion. Okay. And so, like I said, I just decided to run when mainly the January 6th Commission, where he paired up with Benny Thompson to form that. Mm-hmm. But
you don't think there should be a commission? Would that be your position?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I don't think
investigation.
No, because you could do an investigation or just look at the facts, mm-hmm. But with the Capitol Police there, say, was it 40, 50 witnesses, saying that they waved them in, they were letting them in the building, and so far that's cost the taxpayers $40 million. It's just unnecessary spending.
Okay.
Nancy Pelosi was the one in charge of the Capitol Police anyway. Donald Trump offered to bring the National Guard in, with 50,000 troops, and she turned that down. So, yeah, it's just too much tax dollars wasted.
I got you.
When they could be put in a lot better places.
Are you concerned about the nation's deficit and debt?
Absolutely. As a small business owner, the last thing I want to do is spend money.
Yeah.
I have to have a budget, and I have to stick by that budget, or my business is going to go under.
Yeah.
Not being a lawyer or a politician, all they want to do is spend money.
70% of spending comes from Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, other welfare programs, and then debt interest. 70%. Is there anything in particular that you'd like to see in terms of reform to those major programs that consume the majority of our spending?
Well, I don't think people need to be tapping into the Medicare or Medicaid for different. They tap into it, and it's just dwindling down. Mm-hmm. And so, sooner or later they're going to run out of money. Mm-hmm. And and then what are you going to? What are the seniors going to do? It's you just have to have a budget. You have to be smart with that budget, and you have to stick to it. You can't just get a crazy agenda and then just start throwing millions or even billions of dollars at it.
Would you be in favor of reducing spending on discretionary matters such as defense?
No.
So you think we should spend the same or more on defense? Just a question.
Well, I think we should spend more to get it back to where it was.
Okay.
But again, it still has to be a budget. You have to, the main thing is budget. You have to set a budget, and you have to stick to it.
Do you believe that our spending should we be deficit neutral? And what I mean by that is, should we not spend more than we take in? Do you believe that?
Absolutely.
All right, so this year, the projected deficit sits at about 2.8. Well, the deficit for 2022 fiscal year about $2.8 trillion. We don't take in but a little over $3 trillion.
Right.
So prior to the pandemic, it sat at about $1 trillion. So have you thought about how, let's say we return to pre-pandemic, more normal sort of spending and revenue environment, have you thought about the $1 trillion that you'd like to cut out of, which is about 25% of the total budget? Have you thought about what you'd like to cut there?
Well, you wouldn't necessarily have to cut it. You just need to have more income.
Okay. How would you do that?
We have to start drilling. We have to start drilling for oil and be energy independent. I mean, that's just, it's necessary. It's a matter of national security.
Okay.
And, you can hear the left say, oh, well, we have 9,000 permits, that are already registered and they're not drilling.
Yeah.
But what they're not saying is all the red tape that they have put up to not allow them to start drilling until they go through certain processes to be able to drill.
Yeah, that's certainly the feedback that has been received from across the spectrum of oil and gas companies for sure. They talked about that.
And we also we have to start that XL pipeline. We have to get that going again.
What about the border? What do you think we ought to do there?
Finish the wall.
Okay.
Finish the wall. I mean, we have to stop the illegal immigration. I mean, we have to. I mean, if nothing else, the fentanyl, the human trafficking. I don't understand why the Mexican drug cartel is not named a terrorist organization yet.
Yeah.
I mean, they're killing more of our citizens than anything else right now with the fentanyl coming across the border.
Do you think it was a good idea for President Biden to release, I think, 100 million barrels out of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve? Was that smart policy?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't. Just because it's the reserve.
Yeah.
I mean, he never should have. Day one he stopped the pipeline.
Yep.
And that should have never happened. I mean, we were energy independent. We were actually exporting oil to other nations, and now we're begging. Well, where was Russia? Venezuela, Iran for oil, and it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And not to mention all the job loss that created.
Yeah, absolutely. There's this bill that is being deliberated right now that it's kind of styled as a China competes bill. It's $350 billion, which includes a whole lot of corporate welfare in it. There's some 18 Republicans on the Senate side that are supporting it. Are you familiar with that?
I am not.
Yeah, that's coming. What about the so-called bipartisan infrastructure bill, $1.2 trillion, passed in the fall? Would you have supported that, do you think?
Probably not. I would have had to look a little deeper into it, but I mean, you just have to look at all the numbers.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned earlier, what's going out and what's coming in.
Yeah.
I'm for infrastructure, but you can't throw money at a problem and then not fix the problem.
Yeah.
Money's not going to get out there and actually fix the problem if that money is not going in the right people's hands. The
leak of this Supreme Court decision on Roe v. Wade, any thoughts about that?
That was a travesty. I don't know if the FBI is going to get involved with that, and then you really don't know what's going to happen if they get involved. If they're really want to find out the leak. I think it was purposeful.
Yeah.
To try to fire up the left's base. And just I don't know. They should. That's the first time that's ever happened.
Yeah, certainly at that level. The actual leak of the draft of the opinion, that is correct. It's the first time that's happened.
Yeah.
Leak of kind of which way the court may be tilting on a big decision, that's happened before, but that's it.
Right.
We got about a minute left. Anything else you want to say?
Well, I'm having a fundraiser at McBee's on Spillway Road, May 21st. At noon. It's going to be a crawfish boil. I hope everybody can come out, meet me, ask me questions, learn a little bit more, and I just hope to see a lot of people there.
Thomas, thanks for coming in.
I appreciate you having me.
Thomas Griffin, candidate for Mississippi's 3rd Congressional District, has been our guest here on Middays. We'll step aside for a break. We're in the Element Wealth Studios. We'll come right back.